What's up, guys? Welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. K. Knight, here to give you proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. Image! Come to the front. You know, Halloween's starting early for me. Feel me? Today we are talking about Blood of the Wolfman. And I just want to say that I was very impressed with the start of this story, and I can't wait for the rest of this story. So it starts at a party. Adam Jaeger is at a college party. He has been in college for a few months and he has not made any friends, so he decided that he was going to go to the party. He is standing in front of a mirror, kind of just like staring at it, and one of them is like, you're either really narcissistic or you like that mirror. And he says that he has a mirror like that at his house, so he is mesmerized by that particular mirror. I feel like that is important given the rest of what's going on in the story. So he's at the party. There are wolves outside, like fucking eating. It is a full moon outside, and all of a sudden his father, Mr. Jaeger, is getting a phone call saying that his son Adam is at the hospital. The EMTs wouldn't tell his father anything. He gets to the hospital and his son is there completely and totally fine, but covered in a shit ton of blood. So he's just like, what the hell happened? And he starts going into the story of what happened. So he says that he went to a party. Immediately his father is like, were you drinking your medication? He was like, no, I wasn't drinking. I went because, as I said before, he has been in college for a few months. He is an art major. He has not made any friends and he wanted to try, right? So he went there with this group of people that he actually does not know, and he was talking to a girl. So after he's done talking to said girl, he kind of follows her into the main room of the party. When she turns around, there's stuff happening to his face that she decides that she's going to point out. Then he turns fully into a werewolf in front of everybody. I'm going to just go ahead and tell you that now. He turns into a werewolf in front of everybody. Everybody then starts to panic. Because everybody then starts to panic, it turns into a huge massacre. It was going to turn into a massacre anyway because, again, he is a werewolf. However, everybody's panicking only accelerated and made even more of a mess than it probably would have been. Some of them probably would have been able to get out had they not excessively panicked. Would I panic seeing a werewolf in my presence? Yes. But then my immediate reaction would be to run and not do what the fuck they were doing, which was trying to save their drinks, is what it looks like. All of them stayed in that same one room. All of them got murdered in that same one room. He is out here beheading folks, scratching people deep in the back. Like, there is so much blood and gore going on this page that it all happened in one room. There are a lot of people at this party. Some of them could have made it had they not stayed in the one room. Because he was kind of just moving. Like, and it's not like he had he didn't have a singular target, no. It's not like he was isolating anybody or anything like that. He was kind of just going through. So in that situation, several of them probably would have made it had they run out the door. None of them did those things. Now, in the midst of his attack, he also stops to look in the mirror and he sees himself as a werewolf. He is explaining this to his father, who is not saying anything. He's letting him continue the story uninterrupted. While this man is checking himself out in the mirror, again, y'all could have ran, right? The ones who were still alive, because he then says he stopped and looked at himself in the mirror and he wasn't sure that it was himself, and he's having like this existential identity crisis going on because he doesn't know what's going on with himself. And he then goes on the attack again. So in that lull of where he is having that self-crisis, staring in the mirror, several of you people could have run out the door and chose not to. I'm not understanding the logic there. If I see said monster is staring at himself in the mirror, trying to understand how it is that he got to from point A to point B, because we're currently at point B, I would not still be there. I would have left. So then he goes back to killing more people until there are no more people to kill. He is the only survivor of this attack because he is the one who did it. So his father doesn't, say anything. And he's just like, Dad, hello? And he's like, did you tell anybody any of this? No, because he blacked out again. And the next thing he knows, he's being loaded into an ambulance by EMTs. He didn't get a chance to tell this to anybody. But what's irritating me is that he wants to. Why do you want to tell people that? One of two things could happen. One, they believe that you are indeed a wolfman, a werewolf, a monster, and they kill you. Or, have you experimented on, whatever the fuck. Or they think you are absolutely fucking psychotic and they send you to a psych ward. Again, why do you want to tell anybody any of this information who is not your dad? Now, the EMTs told him it was an animal attack. Leave it at that. That's literally what his father is wanting. Leave it at that. But no. So then the police come in, Detective Coates and Detective Narrow, and they're just like, hey, we wanted to ask you some questions about what happened tonight. His father is like, you can speak to me. And she's like, isn't he an adult? And he was like, he just turned 18 a little while ago. And she's like, okay, cool. So we can talk to him. But you're not, because I said you're not. He needs a lawyer. Like, we're not about to play this game, right? And so she then tries to peek around to speak to him. And he turns to the other detective and is like, Al, what the fuck? Seriously. And he's just like, look, there's a lot of people, a lot of parents who are wanting to know what happened to their kids. He is the only surviving person of this animal attack. And she's just like, we just want to know what it is that you saw. What animal would do this? He then starts to say that it wasn't an animal. He literally was starting to say that, and his father told him to shut the fuck up. And he was just like, you can talk to our lawyer, you know who to call, and hands him a wad of money. And he leaves. So the Detective Coates, she's just like, okay, so I'm assuming you know the dad. He's like, yeah, you're new here. So you don't know anything about that family whatsoever. They have dealt with a shit ton of trauma. So at this point in time, we're just going to leave it, and we're going to have to try to do this a different way. So they get back to their house, which is like a basically like old Victorian mansion, looks like. And they have hunting where people can hunt there. But business has been incredibly slow. So the house looks deserted essentially. And Adam is just like, what the hell happened to the house? He was like, well, nobody hunts because of all the hippie people and save the animals and whatever the fuck. And so I haven't had any money. I haven't had the gardeners to do any upkeep. Had to let them go because I couldn't afford them anymore. And he's just like, why didn't you tell me? And he was like, well, if you had visited, you would know the state of things. And he tries to make him feel bad about the art career that he wants to do, and that it's not going to make them any money. And he's like, I can't believe we're even having this fucking conversation again. And he lost his brother as well as his mom, so there is a lot of family trauma tied around loss going on. Now again, he's trying to have this conversation with his father about what happened at the party, and the fact that he knows that it was himself, and his father is just like, first of all, you're not a fucking monster. Second of all, whatever happened to you is just your imagination. Like, you didn't do any of that. You didn't see any of those things. And then in the midst of this conversation, he throws up an eyeball, and he was like, if it's just my imagination, what the fuck is this? So here is my gripe here with these two characters. Adam being fucking stupid. If you are the surviving person, the only survivor, the sole survivor of an attack, and you are thinking to yourself that you are the one who did this attack because you turned into a monster and you saw yourself in the mirror as said monster, and you are the only person alive, why do you keep insisting on telling people that you did it? At the risk of making yourself sound like not only some kind of psycho serial killer, but crazy. Because as I said, like, two things could be happening. Like, one of those two things could be happening. They're going to think that you're crazy and they're going to lock you up, and they're still not going to have an answer, and they're still going to attribute it to an animal, or they're going to believe you and then they're going to get you killed or experimented on. Why do you want either of those two things to happen to you? Now, some people I saw were like, well, maybe he wants to go and get help. He has no idea what's going on. So what is it that you think that you need help with? Is what his father is trying to say. You have no clue as to what's happening. And he obviously also takes medicine. So, like, I feel like the medicine is also part of this, as it's like a particular kind of medicine that can't be mixed with alcohol, as most medications can't. But the fact that he mentioned going to the party and his immediate thought was, were you drinking your medication? Relax. And he's also not supposed to be around people. So he's created like this situation where this transformation could take place, and there are so many variables in which this could happen, and it's almost kind of like it's a stress-induced situation, which is also crazy. Because why I sent him to college too. You feel me? Like, there's the thing. And then his father not saying anything and preferring to make him sound like he's crazy, or imagining things or something like that, is the part that's also aggravating me, because you know what's happening with him. You know exactly what's happening with him, and you're not saying anything. So then when he wants to say something, you're punishing him for wanting to say something. It reminds me of the Final Destination anime. It reminds me of that. When the main character gets to the school, he's coming in the middle of the year. He's transferring in the middle of the year, and he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know the rules. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know that they select a person in the class at the beginning of the year to be dead. He doesn't know that they're supposed to ignore that person as if they are dead. He doesn't know what happened with the class. He doesn't know that there is an extra desk in there. He doesn't know any of these things, and they refuse to tell him. And even after confirming he's not the dead person or the extra person in the class who is dead, even after confirming that, they still don't tell him anything, but they're expecting him to know things. So when he starts talking to the person that they have picked to be the dead person for the year, picked wrong, by the way, they get mad because he's not following the rules. You mean the rules that you haven't told him? Adam's father is acting exactly like this. You are getting mad at him for wanting to tell people this is what happened, but you're not telling him what happened or what's going on or why he saw that, why he transformed. You're not telling him anything. Nothing about his bloodline, nothing about anything that's supposed to be happening, but you're getting mad at him because he then is he's going through. You're mad at him for going through it and then wanting to talk about going through it, instead of explaining to him like what is going on. And I think that's like, it's part of the story in order to make you like mad at the characters, which is perfectly fine, but that is my gripe with these characters. And the fact that it's written that way is actually very interesting, and I like it. The artwork is also really good. I do like that. And it's just it's giving very much universal horror. I like it. So I'm very interested in seeing how this goes, because this says blood of the Wolfman. So I want to go off record or on record. I want to go and say that his father is a Wolfman also, but he has his more under control. And he doesn't know how to like express that. I also kind of want to say that his father may have been the reason for his mother's death too, but we'll see. We will see about that. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office. If you have not gotten Midnight Whispers, Salt Blood, or Blood Tide, please do so, as well as checking out anything over at Echelon Graphic Novels, including Reaper from Captain Diesel's Dojo. And it has been this many days since DC has given a shit about Black people in the main continuity, as well as the petition. So if you haven't signed the petition, go ahead and sign it. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office, and I will see you guys at your next checkup.